Homefront. Thanks for being with us today. In today's economy, we see many challenges: unemployment, foreclosures, debt, homelessness, and more. But there are also solutions that can help. We're going to tell you about some of those solutions. What alternatives are there if you're facing a foreclosure? What's a loan workout? What's a modification? Who are servicers? Who are investors? There are a lot of questions that people have when they're facing a foreclosure. Are you caught in a loop when you're trying to contact your lender? Find out how to get a loan workout. When you're watching Homefront, we're going to help you with some of those things. Are you buying a home? Do you know what down payment assistance is? Is there really financial help? Well, guess what? We have good news. We want you to tune into Homefront for biblical financial tips and to find out more of what God's wisdom is for you in a very complex financial world. Thanks for being with us today. And on Homefront today, we're really excited about the guest that we have. Her name is Sandy Canon. Sandy, thank you so much for being with us today.
You are very welcome. Really looking forward to chatting with you.
And I'm going to read a little bit about your bio, Sandy, because it's so impressive. Sandy Canon is Executive Vice President for Public Policy around Housing, Business, and Economic Development.
That is right.
For Community Ventures Corporation, better known as CVC, right?
Correct.
Okay. Additionally, you're the National Administrator for something called eHome America. And we're going to talk about eHome America today. But before we get into eHome America, I want you to give me some more about your bio because it's so impressive. Tell me what you've done.
Well, I really have a good time being with people. And I think that's why I have tried to find places and people who are looking to help people in their places. And so within Community Ventures Corporation, we really look at making sure those people who want to have their own home can, and for those people who want to start or grow their own business can. eHome America is even bigger than that. We're located in Lexington, Kentucky, but with eHome America, we have been able to provide quality home buyer education across the nation.
Sandy, you're using the term homebuyer education. Tell us exactly what homebuyer education is. When I purchased a home, I went to a lender, stumbled my way through the process, and boom, somehow ended up with a home. Thank God I still have it. Tell us what homebuyer education is.
Well, it really is an opportunity for the potential homebuyer to figure out what it means to own a home. It isn't just going to a lender, getting your mortgage, and paying that bill every month. It's also about understanding what maintaining a home is all about. If you get into trouble, what you need to do there, who you need to talk with. And so eHome America really kind of puts that all into one course so that people can figure that out ahead of making probably the most important and the largest financial decision of their lives.
That's right. Now, homebuyer education traditionally has existed, though.
A long time.
Let's talk about the format that has been around a long time for the few people in America that have trickled into them, happened on it, or discovered it, and how now you're taking it to another level.
Right. Traditionally, housing counseling agencies occur across the nation. For people who are in low to moderate income levels, they might come to a housing counseling agency to get education. And typically, it's 8 hours on a Saturday or 2 4-hour classes on a Tuesday, Thursday night.
Right.
Not exactly convenient it's convenient for the agency perhaps, except for the staff that has to stay at night and on weekends.
I've done many of those.
We all have. But for the typical home buying public, they've got jobs, they've got kids, they've got church activities, other community activities. It's hard to find 8 hours to come and be talked at.
So, then the concept of eHome America came about.
And I wish I could take a lot of credit for it, but I can't. But there were some brilliant minds at CVC. Lexington, Kentucky is a rather large community, about 250,000 people. But our reach was 80 counties in Kentucky. Some people were having to drive 200 miles to come to an 8-hour class.
Right.
They might have to take off a day of work. They definitely would have to get childcare and travel costs, of course.
Okay.
So we said, can we develop something that people can do at their own pace, on their own time, that would give them the quality information and experience that an in-class education process would give?
So basically, CVC, Community Ventures Corporation, is one of those housing counseling agencies.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That exist across the country that just had a marvelous brainchild.
Yes, they did.
And now it is taking over. But before we go into what eHome America is,
Sure.
more specifically, let's take a break and look at a piece about eHome America.
Okay, great.
So Sandy, you all came up, Community Ventures Corporation came up with this marvelous concept of eHome America, and you began implementation. So how did the word get out, and how is it now that you're blanketing most of the country with this eHome concept?
It was quite amazing. I actually came to CVC almost 2 years ago. Within a month, they had rolled this out, they piloted eHome America, and immediately said, oh my gosh, people all over the nation can use this. So they said, Sandy, would you see what you can do? So I started, there were 5 organizations in Kentucky using it, and today we have 98 housing organizations in 41 states. Here, I have a picture of it if you want to see it.
Yes.
You can see who I'm working on for this year, because I have those 9
The blue
SD states who have not come on as eHome America, but we're really having a wonderful, wonderful time sharing with people. We do it with webinars, so people can just see it both from the customer perspective, and then for the agencies, they can see behind the scenes, so how you can manage the customer base. But really, what we want to do is get this out to as many people in the nation. We've gone through a horrible housing crisis.
That's right.
We have been very fortunate that we have this tool that people can look at and see if it's right for them, check it out, and it's going to absolutely help them along their financial journey in life.
Okay. Let's talk more about the content inside of the educational tool.
Sure.
What are people going to see if they go on to take this course? How long is the course?
The course is separated up into 4 modules. So, and people you can log on, spend 10 minutes on it, spend 2 hours on it. It is designed to be an 8-hour course.
Oh, okay.
There are numerous videos on it, so and I believe your viewers are getting to see a couple of them. But what we want to do, some people learn by reading, some people learn by watching. I'm a watcher myself. Some people like to feel it and touch it, so you can actually print off every page.
So whether you're visual or whether you like to read, or even if you want to touch something.
Yes, we
it's all there for you.
really want to make sure
Wow,
different
okay.
learning styles are addressed there.
Okay.
The other thing, we have lots of little quizzes, quizzes of 2 to 5 questions apiece, and then we have some kind of module tests. But in order to move forward, you have to get 80% or more correct, which means you need to understand those concepts.
Okay.
Those concepts can be pretty daunting. And so another thing we do is, there are lots of things like loan modification, investor, that's one thing to read it or hear it.
Absolutely.
So we also define them on every page.
That's great. Oh,
so
wow.
it's, we really want to make it, it's really about the customer, that end user who's going to buy a home. They need to know what they're doing.
So what do you expect average individual taking eHome America Homebuyer Education course is going to come home with?
They're going to come home with a lot of information, one. Two, they're also going to come home with a confidence that they know the decision they're about to embark in with their lender. And third, hopefully, as I mentioned about the across the board, having a connection with a housing counseling agency who, when you have any question, is there and can answer those questions for you. So it's not only me getting that information, but it's me having an advisor right there in my community or nearby community who will work with me.
So it kind of takes you full circle.
We hope.
Yeah. Very good. Well, this is such an exciting tool. We want to recommunicate to everybody that is watching us right now what eHome can do for you. If you're interested in purchasing a home, or even if you want to tweak your knowledge about the homeownership process, this is such a great thing to do. Let's go back to another roll-in. Let's look at some of how eHome looks if you were to go to the site and get some information on how you can connect if you want to take advantage of the resource. eHome America is really an exciting concept, Sandy, and I'm so glad that you came to talk to us about it today. One aspect of financial homebuyer education is financial education.
Absolutely.
And I'm certain that in the content of this course it is addressed. And you know, 98% of Americans don't budget. Can you address that a little bit? And
I
what you're doing
can't
inside
address
the
the
course?
98%. I've got two boys, they're young men, I should not say boys. They don't budget. I don't get it, but you know, it just is not what people do. But it is so important to know where your money's coming from, what you have to spend it on, and what you do, we hope, to save a little bit. And yes, we have, within eHome America, we have budget sheets you can fill out, lots of different worksheets so you can manipulate your numbers to see, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to have to do this, because it's really important to understand it's not just a one-time thing. You got to pay your bills every day. I mean, you're getting a paycheck, we hope, in today's economy every day. So you need to manage that. And so, yes, eHome America, we call it Homebuyer Ed, but it really is about giving life to your financial life so that you can be secure and protect your most valuable asset, your home.
And we have a little bit more about money management in our next segment, and then we're going to come back and talk to Sandy some more.
Hello, this is Chris Foster. I'm the lead pastor of Family Life Church in Brunswick, Georgia. You know, not too long ago, there was a guy who found himself in a very exclusive golf resort. And a cell phone rings and he picks it up. He's in the locker room and answers it on speaker. And the feminine voice on the other end of the line says, "Hey, honey, I'm at the mall. I just found the most beautiful coat. The only thing is, it's $2,200. What do you think I should do?" And he said, "I think you should get it. Babe, you deserve that coat." She says, "Thanks, honey. I really appreciate that." She said, "I know it might sound like a lot, but I actually stopped by the Mercedes dealership on the way to the mall, and I test drove the 2011s, and I just fell in love. What do you think I should do? It's about 70 grand. He said, "You know what? You deserve that car. You should get it with all the options." So he hangs up the phone, and every guy in the locker room is staring at this dude like, who in the world spends that kind of money in just a couple of minutes? To which he held up the cell phone and says, "By the way, does anybody know whose cell phone this is?" Today I want to talk to you briefly about acting your wage. You know, the Bible says that one man pretends to be rich, yet has nothing. We're the only culture I know of that we spend money that we don't have to buy things that we don't need to impress people that we don't even like. And doing well with money, we get it backwards. So often we think it has to do with the accumulation of stuff. But learning to live on less is what it's about. Learning to live on less than you make. Learning to save money and learning to invest money. That's what it means to learn to act your wage. The Bible says, better a nobody and have a servant than to pretend to be somebody but have no food. Last year, the average American spent more money than they made. You say, Chris, how does that happen? How does a person spend more money than they make? The answer is credit cards. Did you realize that the typical American household has $8,100 in credit card debt? That may not sound like a lot, but if you just pay the minimum payment of $141 per month, it will take you 40 years to pay off that amount. Whereas if you invested that same amount, $141, over a 40-year period, you would end up with just over $1 million. We are literally throwing fortunes away. Just this past year, the average American household spent $1,500 in credit card interest, not the principal, just the interest. And this madness has got to stop. The bottom line is, if your outgo exceeds your income, then your upkeep is going to be your downfall. I see so many families struggling, and it's really not because they don't have enough. They're struggling because they're not acting their wage. So act your wage, and today be on your way to being financially set.
Let's talk a little bit more about the level of challenge that exists for someone that's taking this course, because some people's educational abilities are different than others. How do you address that?
Well, we try to provide a person for people who are having difficulty to kind of walk through. We've had people who have ability issues, whether it be intellectual or physical ability issues, where we can actually assist them through the course. Again, that tie into that local housing counseling agency is just so vital. Yeah. But it can change someone's life to be able to own their own home.
Absolutely.
And when you get somebody who has been wheelchair bound in a non-handicap accessible place that can buy their own home where they can be independent, changes their life.
Right, absolutely. And that's a great point to make right now, because I want to hear about the changed lives, as you've heard many testimonials, I'm sure.
Well, I have. Actually, as the national administrator, I'm sure I don't hear at all as many as our local agency partners do. But the folks that I get to talk to are ones who have a question or a concern. And calling up and having somebody call me and say, my mother and I are trying to get a home. We have been in a rental apartment for a long time, but because of the economy, because that we've been saving our money, we know we can buy a home. Can you help us get there? And they may not be that familiar with using a computer for education. Now, believe me, the young people who are listening to this, they're all about getting information and education off the computer. But it's really those people who need just that little bit more of assistance to absolutely change their lives.
Tell me some more about what touched your heart in stories.
Well, let me tell you about, I'll have to go to my PAD. Is
your
that what we're calling
personal
it?
assistant
Thank
device.
you. It's always changing.
Yeah.
I had this fella call me from California. He was moving to Ohio. So he found an agency in Ohio. He says, I may as well connect with my new home, not my old one.
Sure.
His wife had severe diabetes, and he was wheelchair bound. And he had tried. He lived 150 miles from the closest housing agency where he could get his home buyer ed.
That would be a long drive,
And
wouldn't
he
it?
said, I cannot move from California to Ohio without knowing where I'm going. And so this is one of the things he said. He said, what about the course itself? I can only tell you that it conveys an encyclopedia of knowledge absolutely crucial for the potential home buyer, whether it's their first or their fifth home purchase.
Wow.
He says, I found myself going back and reviewing terminology and concepts when needed, seamlessly. I could start up and pick up where I left off without any confusion or endless scrolling. He also said, we got our certificate. We're on our way to Ohio, and it was because of eHome America that made this happen.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it just gives me chills.
Yes, mine too. I'm getting them too.
I know.
Let's talk about that certificate a little bit. That's
Okay.
something we haven't addressed yet. You get a
Right.
certificate of completion when it's over. What do you do with that
Well,
certificate?
you take that hot little baby, and you can take that and again, so many of the lending institutions these days are requiring home buyer ed.
That's so true.
And
Yeah.
this piece of paper will get you a USDA loan. It can get you an FHA, a HUD. Just kind of walk down the road with those. Some banks who are doing their own mortgage lending are also requiring home buyer ed. So that certificate of completion
Yes.
is your ticket to not only a home loan, but a good home loan.
Okay.
We're not going to let people get into that the problem that the housing crisis has caused.
None of that predatory stuff.
None, none,
Okay,
none, none.
wonderful. That's great to hear. Now, with regard to this certificate,
Yes.
are there particular credentials that are required upon certifying an individual? Is there any question with regard to the credentials that are offered through eHome and the certificate?
I'm not quite sure
The,
what you're asking
HUD
for. The HUD,
approved,
oh, okay.
yeah.
We are USDA approved. We are endorsed by the USDA.
Okay.
And for HUD, for NCSHA, which is the State Housing Finance Agency National Organization.
Oh, excellent.
For,
yes. That covers just about everything. to me.
Yes.
Okay.
For FHA, it's all an approved educational vehicle. They don't
Okay.
endorse
Okay.
curriculums like USDA did, but it is an approved for that certificate.
So in essence, the lender cannot really challenge the quality of
That
the
is
certificate
correct.
at all.
The course curriculum meets all of the national standards. It
Excellent.
actually exceeds them.
Okay.
And we make sure within the registration process we cover all of the HUD guidelines, which is the strictest lending source out there.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yes.
we both work with HUD-approved
Yes,
agencies.
we do.
We understand that. Okay. What about the statistics of the amount of users across the country that you have right now? How many people are signing on to?
We kind of launched in May 2009.
Okay.
We're approaching 9,000 customers in a year and a half.
Wow.
I know,
Oh my
I know.
gosh.
It's pretty amazing.
That's huge.
It is huge. What the statistic, the demographics are about what you would think as far as gender and race and ethnicity. What I find fascinating is about 40% of our customer base have some college or more, yet 90% of our users make $75,000 or less.
Okay.
So even though many of them are highly educated, they still are in the low to mid income. So those are the folks using it. The most disturbing statistic we have is how many people go get a lender and get pre-approved before getting their education.
Right. That's yeah.
We're running about, depending on month to month, 75 to 80% of folk go find money before they know how to find money. So that is one of the things, to me, that's the public policy issue. We have got to get it so folks across the nation are getting the information before they're making decisions.
And quite regularly in our standard face-to-face homebuyer education
Yes.
courses, when the person is referred to the course by the lender, 90% halfway through the course, they say, I wish I had taken this course months ago instead
Right.
of going to the lender first.
Yes.
And it's not necessarily because they don't like the lender, but it's because the knowledge is so far enhanced.
Well, and they can ask questions.
Right.
Again, it is probably going to be the most important financial decision they make of their lives. they need to be armed with that information to make that decision.
That's right. And also, back to the certificate.
Yes. You like that certificate,
Yes, I
don't you?
do. Because it's a ticket to their future. And there are a lot of governmental entities that offer down payment assistance that require that certificate. And USDA, with their subsidy in the form of a reduced interest rate, require that certificate. So it's a necessary tool in some cases to move forward in the homebuyer education process.
And it's been a wonderful experience for me personally, getting to know the leaders at the federal level with USDA, with HUD, with our State Housing Finance Agencies Association, because they really care that people are getting good loans. We as a nation will only grow when everyone is financially stable.
It's key.
And it's absolutely key.
We're hitting the jugular vein right now, Sandy.
Yeah.
Can you give our viewers some words of encouragement right now on obtaining that education, stepping out and doing something different to make a change in their lives?
I just want people to know that it is so important to make sure you are getting what you need. It's really easy to let other people do this for us, but what you can gain is the absolute confidence that you're making a fabulous decision for yourself and your family and your future. Your future is going to depend on the financial stability of your family. This house is the important piece to have. Please, please check it out. And give me a call. I'm at the other end of the 800 number, and I'll be happy to speak with you.
Yes, take advantage of this marvelous tool. You can go to the Homefront website, find out more. We're excited about our partnership with Sandy Canon and eHome America, and we're excited about you watching us here on Homefront. Thank you for being with us today. We'll see you again very soon. Thank you, Sandy, for being with us.
Thank you for having me. It was great.
Thank you for being with us on this edition of Homefront. If you walk in the Word of God and you apply it to your life, you will be blessed in all that you do. Be not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work, so that you can be blessed in your deeds. Strive for masteries in your financial world, and you will be crowned because you strive lawfully according to the Word. God bless you, and we'll see you again soon.
Call or visit our website for a resource book on all Homefront guests and programs offered through Totally Free Incorporated for any donation. If you are encouraged by our show, we welcome any tax-deductible donation. Your financial support empowers us to reach the masses with help in their financial world. Call 866-731-FREE.